Okay, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started with our builders training, and we've got Brandi Tipton on tonight. I'm excited, and Brad's going to be with us as well. And you know what, Brandi Tipton, I've actually known Brandi for a long time. Actually, the company that I worked for, where I was the national sales director, don't know why they called me national sales director. Never sold, never had sold, and didn't teach people selling. But that's what they call me, right, Brandi? And but I remember when Brandi was hired on, and to say she was a fireball would be an understatement. But the thing that I really admired about Brandi is that she really dove in, and she really sought to understand this business and understand how she could be the very best recruiter and upline that she could be. Brandi actually worked in a division in this company where they did nothing but recruit people and get people started. Recruit people and get people started. Recruit people and get people started. Well, developing that skill made her quite marketable. And Pete Beckman and Brandon Hall actually hired Brandi. This was about a year ago, or maybe a little bit longer than a year ago. Brandi, when you come on, you can correct me. But they actually hired Brandi to run that whole division for their company. And I absolutely think that it was the best investment that they could have ever made in the world. As a matter of fact, every time I see Pete, I will tell him that he needs to pay Brandi more because she is absolutely phenomenal. So, Brandi, welcome to our Zoom tonight. And for the next 30 minutes, Brandi, you and I are going to get real. We're going to get really, really, really real. And we're going to teach our agents how to go to the next level, because this thing that Barry Clarkson implemented a couple of weeks ago is a real deal. You qualify a regional manager with 10 writing agents. And if you're good enough, if you've got enough influence and leadership to attract 10 writing agents, then you've got a chance to also help somebody attract and recruit and build a team of 10. And if you can get good at getting one person to go out there and build a team of 10, you can qualify for the equity bonus that very, very quickly in the next 90 days or so, maybe even sooner, that first tier equity bonus is going to pay right at $15,000 every 30 days. So, Brandi, this builder's training tonight is not a builder's training for new people. This builder's training is, it only attracts our top level builders. And I promise you, Brandi Tipton, they don't want to hear you sugarcoating anything, because if you sugarcoat it, they're going to be able to tell. They're going to go, oh, she's sugarcoating it. No, they want to hear your attitude. They want to hear your thought process. And so before I start asking you some questions, why don't you say hello to everybody?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me on. And John Kight is exactly right. Him and I met each other at a previous company. Just a little bit about me and my background for those who have not met yet. I am from Burlington, North Carolina, born and raised here, graduated high school. My parents divorced when I was 7 years old. So mom and dad said, when you get out of high school, you've got to get a job. And that's what I did. So I started off at a company where it was like a real estate company. And I started off working minimum wage, John Kight. Did that for 2.5 years for David. And they came in one day and told me that business was slow and they're going to have to lay me off. And I said, well, that ain't how this works. And the gentleman I was working for, David, he started laughing. He said, what do you mean? I said, you're going to have to find me something else. So he went and introduced me to another gentleman and another guy. And one of those guys was Barry Clarkson. And they told me a little bit about their business. I really honestly didn't know what even the company was. I just knew I needed a job, right? So I started off working there. Hey, they gave me a $3 raise. I was up to 10 something an hour. And I thought I done hit the jackpot. So I ended up working for that company for about 13 years. I did go, I started calling resumes. I did that for about 1.5 years. And it got to a point where I was booking so many interviews for the recruiters that they couldn't keep up. So I said, well, the way that you can make this work is you can promote me to a recruiter and stop having me call these resumes. Let me talk to some of these people. So that's how it all started. So I actually got out of the business, and I got a really good job opportunity where I doubled my income. I was making about $80,000 a year, and I worked for a local staffing agency, and I used to hire for all these large manufacturing companies and did some RNs and stuff. And then my phone rang one day at work, and it was Pete Beckman, and I thought that maybe he needed me to hire somebody for him. And then the conversation turned a little bit, and I said, whoa, we're on the company phone, so I have to call you back later. So I've always stayed in connection with Barry Clarkson, John. And actually, I think you're the one who gave me a cell phone number because I messaged you.
Yeah.
I said, I need Barry's number because I don't know about Pete Beckman. So long story short, I've read up a lot about the Equis opportunity, and I saw the success they had, and even people like you, John, and Kim, and I know Claudia, Matthew. I mean, there's so many people that I'd known from a previous business, and I saw the kind of success they were having here at Equis, and I thought, you know what, this might just be what I need, because I'd had a lot of success at the other company I was with in staffing, but I had maxed out as far as income goes, and with bonuses and everything, I mean, I was making close to $100,000. So it was decent money, especially someone like me starting off minimum wage, right? But I saw the opportunity, and talking to Barry, the passion in his voice, and a cousin of mine was 18 years old. And in that time frame that I was talking to Barry and Pete and really just doing a lot of praying, John, my cousin passed away. He was in a head-on car accident and had no life insurance. And I thought, you know what, this might be my calling. And I got back into it, and I've been here a little bit over a year. We have had a ton of success since I've came on with Pete and Brandon, but I would not say it's just me. We have got an incredible team, and it's all of us that work together that make this thing happen. And that's why it's so important in this business that it's not about you. It's about serving, and it's other people, and it's about locking arms, and people like you, John and Kim, that's why you edify your leaders, because you're not always going to be able to do everything by yourself, and I certainly can't. So we have created a position here, and we've actually hired a couple of other recruiters in Burlington, and it's called PIT, and what that stands for is the Passive Income Team. And I loved when you were talking about passive income, and I actually got that from you, because that is what I'm very passionate about. Writing business and making sales obviously is what puts money and food on the table, but having a passive income is what I get so passionate about, because hey, you never know when something's going to happen, and you might not be able to go and run that sale. And being able to create that residual income, to me, is really the American dream. And I'm just super excited to be here, and it's an honor to be asked to be on the call. I told Brad earlier, I was like, I don't know about this video thing, and I don't know whose idea this was. I'd rather be on the phone where nobody can see me, but here I am. So thank you so much for having me on, John.
Well, I'm glad that you're on, and so we're going to get down into the weeds on some things, because one of the things that we've dealt with the past, I think 3 weeks now on this call is, and you know that I'm a big warm market guy. Like, I love warm market recruiting, okay? But one of the things that we said, you know what, we're going to teach cold market recruiting. So we've talked about ZipRecruiter. We had Carrie Wysong on. We had Ollie Collins on. And so, you know, our people the last couple of weeks, they have learned about ZipRecruiter, how to place ads, how to do all of that. Brandi, you guys have a cold market recruiting machine. Okay. About how many new writing agents are you guys hiring and getting out in the field on a monthly basis?
We typically average anywhere from 5 to 7. That number does fluctuate though, John.
Okay.
One out of every 10 that you hire will actually do something.
Okay.
And we tell our people that, like, you might, and hey, this week you might hire 20, and next week you might hire 10, and the 20 this week might not do nothing, but the 10 next week you might pop out 3. But it's just a numbers game.
Well, so take me through like your attitude, like when you're recruiting people. And I loved when you went through that story, because that's exactly how you are. That's exactly how I remember you. When you told them, you were like, you know what, I got a solution to this. Hire me on as one of these recruiters instead of, me booking the call. And I've always loved your attitude. I do think that there's a certain level of boldness that attracts people. And I just know this, when you're on the phone with people and the way you were taught, Brandi, and I know who taught you, and you were taught by one of the best from an attitude standpoint, when you get on that phone, it's not, let me try to impress them. I mean, you're getting down, you're figuring out who you got on the phone, because you're not going to waste your time. Can you talk a little bit about this attitude that you have, and that you teach people how to have?
Absolutely. I think that it all goes back down to passion. I'm just so passionate about this thing. Like when I'm on the phone, I look at, we all have the same amount of hours in the day. It's just about how we use them, right? So I'm not going to waste my time with someone that I wouldn't invite to my own home with my family.
Amen.
I look at that. So when I talk to cold market, warm market, anybody, to be quite honest with you, John, my posture is, when I talk to them in the very beginning, I set up the call and say, hey, here's what we're going to do. I know you've got a lot of questions, and I appreciate that, and I hope that you've done some research on our company, but I need you to tell me a little bit about you. What kind of success do you have? What kind of failures have you had? What are you scared of? What are you looking for? What's your background? What are you currently doing? And then I'm going to tell you a little bit about me, and I'll give you a chance to ask questions at the end of it, and I'll tell you about the opportunity, exactly what we're looking for. So I automatically have them start off. And I have people that's interrupted me, John, and they'll say, I have a question before we move forward. And I said, I understand that, but again, I'm interviewing you. And, I don't want to disrespect you, but I want to be real with you. I'm not even sure if I even want to waste my time talking to you about the opportunity, because I'm not even sure if you're what we're looking for.
So you're going to find out. You're going to find out what you want before you start answering questions from them.
Absolutely.
Love that. I love how you take that leadership position, and I think the right people respond to that versus, okay, this person's trying to recruit me. This person's going to listen to anything, and this person's going to offer me a job.
That's right.
So I see that as a weak attitude, and I think weak attitudes, it actually attracts the wrong person and repels the right person. Because if a right person feels like, oh, this guy's just hiring everybody, well, then you know what? I mean, they're going to go find a real deal. They don't want the network marketing deal where it's, I'm just going to be a piece of mud and they're going to throw me up against the wall.
Right. Yeah. Well, there's 3 main things that when you're talking to somebody, and once you do it for so long, I mean, I can literally talk to somebody in the first 5 minutes and I know if I want to hire them or not. I really look for a couple things. The first thing is I look for people that have a good attitude, right? That are coachable, and I find out exactly what they're looking for. Do they want full-time? Do they want part-time? Are they making good money, but they're working too many hours? Are they struggling to pay the light bill? So I find out specifically what they want, John Kight. So then I know exactly which way to talk to them. So do I talk to them about passive income, or do I talk to them making about $500 extra a week? So that's the key to cold market recruiting. It's just like, you don't go to a restaurant and you sit down and you start asking the waitress all of these questions about where they got their food and everything. She asked, what would you like? Do you want a burger? Do you want a fry? Do you want, and it's the same thing here. Find out what people are looking for, so then you can go directly into that opportunity. Because if you called me right now and said, hey, you can work 100% commission. You talk about how great this thing is, make extra $500 a week. Now, would I like extra $500 a week? Absolutely. But what would be more attractive to me is working less and spending more time with my family,
right,
and making a passive income. But you, again, have to find out specifically what people want. And there's 3 things that I've got written down. There's 3 questions that every single person wants to know. The first one is, do you care for me? Mutual concern creates connection between people. And you have got to be able to connect with people, period. In this business, whether if you're, if it's hiring people, or if you're in the home or whatever, do you care for me? People want to know you care. People, they want you to know their concerns. They don't always come out, but that's where you've got to get real good and have people feel comfortable when they talk to you. The second thing is people want to know, can you help me? Nobody wants to be sold, and we just covered that. But everyone wants to be helped, and that's key. And that's what I tell people when I'm hiring people is I'll say, look, John Kight, we've got all these people's reaching out to us, just bought home, refinanced the home, and they want somebody to help them out. So that's what we're looking for, somebody that can help these people. And then the third thing is, can I trust you? Trust is more important than love. With trust comes love. There's a book that all of our staff is reading. It's by John Maxwell. It's Everyone Communicates and Few Connect. And my favorite line in this book is on page 42. He says, whenever people take action, they do so for their reasons, not yours or mine. That's why we have to get on their agenda and try to see things from their point of view. Because if we don't, we're just wasting our time and theirs. And that's the whole point of recruiting. And that's how I train my recruiters is you've got to find out what people want, and what they want is what we got. Hey, and sometimes what they want, we ain't got it.
Well,
and that's okay.
Yep. So there it is right there. So the notes that I've taken down is that, okay, so what you look for is you look for, number 1, a good attitude. Number 2, people that are coachable. And number 3, what are you looking for? What's your why? And then you talked about, do you care for me? Mutual concern creates connection. Can you help me? No one wants to be sold. Everyone wants to be helped. And number 3, can I trust you? Because trust, everything operates out of the speed of trust. And trust is way more important than love. Love is a byproduct of trust.
That's right.
And I love what you also said about action. People take action for their own reasons, not yours. And I feel like so many managers, me included, we try to get people to take action based on our passion. See, I haven't been able to sleep really good since Barry announced that regional managers, 10 qualified agents, not 15. See, what I think, Brandi, is Barry just added a lot of people to the game that can create wealth that would have never been able to be a part of the game. And the thing about it is I want to go, I've got a certain segment of people on my team that I want to go grab them and just say, do you understand what just happened? Because if you did, you wouldn't be going status quo. You wouldn't wake up and live like you did the past 13 years of your life. You would be so jacked out of your mind you can't stand it. But it doesn't matter how passionate I am, Brandi. They're not ever going to act based on my passion. They're going to act based on theirs. And so I love what you're saying here. Now I want to keep going on this, because one of the big questions that my team has is, okay, so I run ZipRecruiter ads. I hire people. I take a page out of Brandi Tipton's Attitude book. Okay. And I'm not going to try to impress people. I'm going to establish leadership on the interview. And instead of me sitting there asking him a million questions, I'm going to find out in the first 5 minutes if they've got a good attitude, if they're coachable, and if they've got a reason. Okay. I'm going to find out about all that. And then, but what they want to know, Brandi, is this: how do I effectively move people from there to actually getting started and writing a piece of business. What are some of the things that you do in the pit crew where you get people actually writing business?
We keep it very simple. Okay. You have to give someone one task and one task only. So once I've ICA'd someone and they're not licensed, you know what their task is, John Kight? It's to get their license within 7 days. We literally shoot them a text or phone call every other day to follow up to see how they're doing. Do you need help? What chapter are you on? And we let them know that in the beginning too. Look, I'm your personal coach, John. If you need me for anything, like, I'm here for you. You've got my cell phone number. That's why I'm texting you. That's why I'm calling you. I might even drive you crazy. Hey, and if I do, just say, hey, you need to back off Brandi Tipton. I'll be happy to. But I know how passionate you are about helping your family and getting out of the situation you're in, that at the end of the day, John, when I lay my head down at night, I know I did everything on my end to help you.
So it sounds to me like, Brandi, you're taking ownership of all that.
Yes.
So it's almost like you're hiring these people to work for you and the pit crew. So how do you use Brandon and Pete? Like, because I mean, it's all, because again, I love what you're doing, and again, when I was on y'all's call 2 weeks ago, I was raving about, because that segment that you did on Pete Beckman's call, I'm like, I love it, because it's like you have this mindset, you're building your own team and your own culture within UniTrust Agency, and I got to thinking, I was like, Brandi, if we had 15, 20 people that took ownership of their business the way you're taking ownership of the pit crew, how many regional managers could we break out in the next 8 months? Can you talk about your dude there?
Yeah. So when I'm talking to people, I automatically edify Pete Beckman, and I'll say, look, my manager is Pete Beckman. He's a regional manager with us. I'll tell him a little bit about him. Lives down in Jacksonville, Florida. His partner, Brandon Hall, was the top producer within Equis Financial last year. They made, $800,000 last year. And I'm going to get you around Pete. But the first thing we've got to do is we've got to show him some movement. So we've got to get you enrolled in school. We've got to get your license. Now, once you get licensed, I'm going to then get you carrier contracted. Then I'm going to get you on the phone with Pete. And Pete's going to show you how to make X amount of dollars. So I edify him, and I explain to them, John, that Pete Beckman, wants me to hire you. He trusts me. And then I tell them a little bit about my background, but then I explain to them, like, look, this guy, runs a close to $1 million business, and he can't work but with only a certain amount of people, and the people who's moving and the people who's doing something. So that's how I'm going to get you time with Pete, is based off of your activity and the success that you have. And the first thing we've got to do is get that license. So now if they, on another note, if they're already licensed, I go ahead and get them carrier contracted, and then I typically book them in to a one-on-one with Pete. And then that's whenever he talks to them about their goals and what they're looking for and they accomplish. We basically, and I'll tell you, we're basically micromanaging people, okay? And everybody on this webinar will say, I hate being micromanaged, me included. But really, we all have to have somebody to hold ourselves accountable in this business. We have a lot of our agents, they will send a text, a picture of their calendar, their schedule to me. So if we have one of our producers, let's say Joe Gibbons, and he's having a great week this week, and next week it slopes Tuesday, Wednesday, I'll say, Joe, dude, text me a picture of your schedule. Like, something's going on. Like, you had a great week last week. And like, how can I help you? So then if I see his dial time is later on at 4 o'clock, and then I'll wait till 5. So we get an hour into it. I'm like, hey dude, I know right now is your dial time. How many appointments have you booked? So you don't have to literally pick up the phone and call all these people individually. A simple text that takes 2 seconds or a minute will create people to work even harder. And people, and Pete and I talk about this all the time. I'm like, people and people don't want to be micromanaged, but people don't want to disappoint other people. And that's why you got to hold people accountable. People are more likely to quit on themselves than they are other people.
I love it. I'm writing it all down. So you're basically, so when you hire somebody off of ZipRecruiter that's not licensed,
Mm-hmm.
so does Pete do group calls with these people just to say, hey, or when's the first likelihood that they're going to have any touch from Pete Beckman?
Yes. So Pete does, he does a live webinar every Tuesday, Thursday night, and then he does one on Saturday mornings. And basically that's a very similar call to what you just did. He just talks about the opportunity, but one thing he does a little bit different is he goes to each individual person, asks them where they're from and what their background is. And just talks to them just a couple seconds, and then he goes over the opportunity.
Awesome. So now primarily, are you guys hiring off of ZipRecruiter, or do y'all use different mediums like Indeed or Craigslist, or what? Give some of our agents some tips on because they probably either they're already thinking that I need to hire a Brandi Tipton, which there's not many out there of you that exist, or I need to become a Brandi Tipton. So what do they need to be setting up cold market wise?
Yes, so we do ZipRecruiter and Indeed. We've got 2 different ads, and I'd be happy to send them over to you, John. I think that Brad and Kim actually already have them. But we do outside sales consultant, and then we also do regional manager. We do district manager. So we've got those 3 different titles, and basically the ad is very much the same, except the regional manager and district manager talks more about someone who's wanting to build a team. So our ZipRecruiter ads, we've got a seat of 50. And then we also have on Indeed, we've got 20 current active ads running. So total, we've got 70. We have them, so the process is when they respond to us, then I send them out an email individually. It gives them a video, Pete's overview video. It thanks them for applying for the position. It has a link to our website. It lets them know that they can schedule a 30-minute phone interview with me and to be prepared to bring any questions that they have. So then they book themselves into my calendar, and I do interviews in 15-minute increments. They start at 9 a.m. and they end at 4:45. So, and I do it in 15-minute increments because sometimes if you have a 9 o'clock interview and they don't answer, then you can call your 9:15, they answer. And then if you get behind, typically an interview takes about 20 to 30 minutes, but if you get behind in that initial email, it lets them know to allow about 15, 20 minutes of lag time in case the interview runs over.
Okay. And I want to let everybody know as we move to start wrapping up, I want to be kind to Brandi's time. If you have specific questions, either type them on Zoom or go ahead and send me a personal text. I've got my phone sitting here. Just send me a personal text. I'm trying to check, see my text right now, see if I've got any questions. But so when somebody responds to an ad, and you run ads not only for sales consultants, but you run ads for district managers and regional managers.
I do.
Do you find that you get just as many people responding to a more of a manager building an agency type ad that you do to sales consultant, or is it the other way around?
More to the management ads, John. And the caliber of people.
Really?
Yeah. Everybody wants to be a manager.
Yeah.
And that's another thing is people are all about entitlement. And you know, everybody just wants to be a manager. So the caliber of people are a lot sharper. But one thing that I do want to say, and Ollie, I know that you just asked about if a recruit drags their feet through class, how do you handle that? You know, you can't handle that. You're just going to have to hire and find somebody else who's going to move a little bit quicker than that person. love on them, shoot them a text, say, hey, dude, like, it's taking you a lot longer than what I thought. You must have something going on. Just want to let you know that we've got families that are really needing help. I don't want you to think that I'm done forgot about you, but I've got to help somebody that's moving a little bit quicker. So you love on them, but you just go find somebody who's going to do it. But here's the key thing, John Kight, is in this business and recruiting, you cannot get discouraged because people going to quit. People going to get mad. People going to do crazy things. But you have got to stay consistent. Consistency to me is commitment. And when you lack consistency, people are left feeling confused and frustrated. And that's what makes people quit. But if you stay consistent, it's just like Michael Jordan, he's lost more games than he's won. But that's why he fails so much, because he stayed consistent, and then he become the greatest ball player of all times. Like you with golf, you were talking about Tiger Woods the other night on our call. It's the same thing, but you've got to stay consistent and got to have that commitment. And you got to just keep hiring people and keep putting them in. And that's like Ollie, when you were saying that person drags their feet. Like, don't get discouraged. Like, people are going to disappoint you all the time. And that was really hard for me, because I wanted this opportunity to work out for people so much more than they wanted to work out for themselves. And I would get discouraged sometimes, because I have, we've all had that sharp person. We're excited about them. We're fired up, right? And then they quit, and they're like, oh my God, here I go again. But it's just the nature of this business. But another thing that I'll say is, when you're talking to people, the most precious thing to them is their name. The more you can say their name, the more you can engage in people. And John Kight, I know you're just like this when it comes to warm market. My phone interview, I talk about the business like maybe a minute or two. I literally talk about that person. People love to talk about themselves.
Yes.
I let that person talk about them. I'll know their mama and their daddy's name and how many kids they got and what high school they went to. And we'll just talk like we're the best of friends, And while they're talking, I always find something that I can relate to them on. Because if you can be relatable to people, then you have that connection. And then in the end, I'll say, well, look, we've done talked so much about you and me. We didn't even talk about business, but here's what we do and here's what we're looking for. Then I talk to them a little bit about the business. And then I'll say, well, listen, your first step is you got to get a license. I can get you an agent number. We can go ahead and get you enrolled now. But I'm looking for a couple things. Like, I want people who really care about people. We spend a lot of time and a lot of money that we invest in this business to get people good leads, like not a lead, not where you just got to go knock on the door and stuff, but people who are actually interested in this. So we want people who really care about these people. If they can afford $80 a month, you don't go in the home and try to write them for $100 just because you're trying to make extra money. And I want to be real with you, and I tell people that. We want people with good qualities as far as leadership goes, who have good morals and values. Our reputation is everything. So that's what we're looking for, is leadership. People.
Okay, real quick. How often are you moving or changing your ads, or how do you target different areas? Are you just switching up ads, every other day, every week, or what?
No, we don't ever switch up our ads. We will change the location, and I do within an hour and a half to 2 hour radiuses of EBO meetings and lead flow. Okay.
And so when you hire the agent or the agent gets through licensing, mm-hmm. How quick are you getting them on the phone, and do you micromanage that dial time?
Yes. As soon as they get their license, then we get them carrier contracted. Then they listen to our phone scripts online. They record themselves, send it back to us, send it back to Pete. And then Pete gets them leads. He helps them order their leads. And then once they order their leads, then we track their dials. So we do the tick mark, the haystacks. How many dials they make, how many people they talk to, how many appointments they set. And their first few appointments, they have to call Pete from the home, and he coaches them through that.
How many appointments?
Typically the first 5, every person's different. So some people, it may be the first 10. Some folks may be the first 3, but typically the first 5 appointments, he wants them to call from the home.
Okay, so you're getting them carrier contracted. They're listening to phone scripts. They record themselves. Pete coaches them if needs to be, and then they're getting inventory leads. Do you have your favorite inventory leads that they purchase? What do you recommend that they get?
They do a mixture, but we typically start them off on older leads, just because if they, every new agent's going to mess up, and we rather them mess up and have less the investment versus getting newer leads. And Pete also does live dials on Fridays at 3 p.m. And he does that for all agents to listen to. So any agents are welcome to call into that. Okay,
and those haystacks, ticky marks, how many for a typical new agent getting started? What's kind of their badge of honor of haystacks?
Well, if they've got 40 leads, which typically is what we start off of, you want to call them at least 3 or 5 times each. So their first round of dials should be about 120. And a dial is considered when you call the number. If the lead has 3 phone numbers, that's 3 dials. So we do dials, we do contacts, and then we do appointment set. So then if an agent comes to you, John, and they've got 40 leads, they made 120 dials, so they called them all 3 times. They talked to 10 people, and they didn't book any appointments, and it's something they're saying on the phone.
Okay. This is a really good question. So when you're interviewing people, how much do you discuss compensation and income levels?
Not a whole lot. I mean, you make about $500 a sale.
Okay.
That's about all I say.
Not really getting them wrapped around the axle of, I mean, and I'm going to tell you, I told Barry Clarkson the other day, I said, Barry, I've been in this thing for a long time, and if you sit down and you try to explain how somebody gets paid in this business, I'm still kind of scratching my head every now and then. You know what I'm saying? But we sit down there and we try to logically explain to people, and people think that attracts people. It don't attract nobody. No. All it does is gets people thinking too much.
Yeah. I mean, so if I'm talking to you, John, and they say, well, so you get paid based off of every person you help? I'm like, yeah, every time you write an application, you get 70% of the annual premium. So what do you mean by that? Well, you take the monthly premium, you times it times 12, and you get 70% of that. Oh, so that's like $700. I'm like, yeah, it's crazy. I didn't even think it was legal.
Yes. I tell you what, I'm so proud of you. I'm listening to your attitude, and I see so much just absolutely just sheer boldness, attitude. I know, the guy that you and I both learned from, we've got this attitude that just get me on the phone with somebody, and I'm going to talk junk to somebody. Because here's the thing. Like when you said, I'm going to know your mama, I'm going to know your brother, I'm going to know your kids' names. And that's what I do with my people. I get on there and I talk more. I have more fun with people, but it frustrates me when I'm trying to teach people how to recruit and they ask me what interview questions I'm asking. You know what? It could vary from phone call to phone call. I mean, it depends on what's in season. Right now, if I talk to a guy out of Boston, I'm probably talking about the Red Sox for the first 5 minutes of the phone call. So, okay, so good question here. So it sounds like you're ICAing the person off of the first interview. Is that correct? Do you pretty much ICA people off first interview? Okay.
Yes.
How do you handle it when somebody says that they want to do some due diligence?
I say, what you mean? What does that mean?
Somebody says, I want to think about it a little bit. I want to check you guys out. I mean, do you just go, okay, whatever?
That's what I ask them. I say, what do you mean by that? I don't understand checking us out. Because to be quite honest with you, John, we're checking you out, buddy. We already got this thing going. Like, we're number 1 in the country right now in mortgage protection. So you tell me, what do you not feel comfortable with?
Oh, I hope so many people heard that. What are you talking? See, it's the whole attitude about it. What are you talking about? It's like I had a guy today call me up and he said we're recruiting somebody, Brandi, and he said the guy wants to talk to somebody that it's working for. The guy wants to talk to somebody. Now the guy just talked to me. I did a Zoom meeting with him on Friday morning for 30 minutes, and now he wants to talk to somebody. And this person that asked me that, I just sent him a name, but you know what I wanted? I wanted to say, how much money do I have to make? How many people do I have to hire? Like, he just spent 30 freaking minutes with me, and now he wants to get on the phone with an agent that it's working for.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm an agent, working pretty good for me. I protected 176 lives last year.
Yeah.
But Brandi, the thing that you're bringing tonight that I think every single one of our builders can get is a freaking attitude of, hey, either it's going to happen or it's not. And if it's not, I got 30 other people to talk to.
Yeah.
And see, I don't think we're doing that. I don't think we're that bold right now. I think we're still trying to impress people. We're still trying to logically explain it. And that's why the numbers don't seem to be popping quite like the Beckman team.
Yeah. Well, and and Barry gave a great analogy the other week on the call, and he said, it's like someone like John, like going to play football for the college. He don't walk up there and just say, hey, I'm just here to check you guys out. You know what I mean? I'm just here to check you out to see if I want to be on the team or not. Like, that's not how it works. And that's not how this business works. But it all goes back down to passion, John. Like, I mean, I'm just so passionate about this. Like, I mean, I look at Pete like family. Like, I'm not going to just hire anybody on to come here and mess up our culture and what we got going on, because we're killing it, And I have that posture, and when I'm talking to people, and I'm so passionate about it and about helping these families too. And Hunter and I we're actually taking our test on Friday, because we're going to start selling a little bit on the side. And, it's just like, I think about all these families and all this marketing and what we've created. And I look at Barry and even you, John, and so many of you leaders, all the time that you've spent away from your families, and like right now what you're doing, where you could be spending time with Kim. And I just see the kind of commitment that you guys have to something bigger and better. And it's like, I'll tell you one damn thing, like, I'm not going to be the person on the team that lets some dipshit come up in here and mess up what we got going on. And that's right. The way, and that's my attitude, and that's the way I feel. And when you start thinking that way, like, this is my life, and I shared that Eric Thomas video, I made my mark. Everybody, as soon as we hang up, YouTube that. Eric Thomas, I made my mark. Y'all watch that video. And if that don't get you excited, I mean, I don't know what else will. Maybe you need to find you a job, because maybe this ain't the right place, But he said, you got to want to succeed as much as you breathe. And he don't even have an alarm clock that goes off every day, because he's so passionate about what he does, and he jumps up out of bed every day. And that's what you got to have in recruiting. And if you don't have that, then like I said, maybe you just need to stick to the sales side or do something else. But I love it, John. And you're right. Every phone call is different. And I have fun with people. I laugh with people. I cry with people. Some people will ask me where I'm from 10 different times, and I'm like, I'm not from up north, obviously, but people like you just to be real with them. Like, be yourself. Everybody in this business has had some success because they got a good personality. So just have that on the phone, and you don't have to be so corporate, Just talk to people. People will come on board because they like you.
You've got Mike Hall quoting you now. Mike just texted me a famous Brandi Tipton quote there. So, hey, so all right. So I'm not getting any more questions on my text. Brad, do we have any questions on the Zoom that I need to know about or see?
No, I think we covered it all.
Somebody wants to know how Pete pays her with money. I'm sure Brandi takes money.
Oh yeah, I'm salary, and I mean, I don't mind telling you. I'm not gonna tell you how much, but I'm
Not-
salary plus bonuses. I get quarter bonuses too. Pete's a little bit scared though, because he's scared. He said, I'm scared if you get out there and start writing some business, you might quit on me. I said, look, I'm not a quitter. I said, I might cut back a little bit though.
I tell you what, Brandi, I'm so proud of you. I can remember the first time frame. I can't remember the exact first day that I met you, but I do remember being in the war rooms with you back in that warehouse and having that whiteboard all around that room and us drawing our team up on there and really talking about what we're talking about tonight, which is the passion. Knowing who we are gives us an advantage, because all we got to know is who we are. And you know what? When you walk into the New England Patriots locker room, there ain't but so many questions you're asking Bill Belichick, you know?
Right.
And you got that same attitude, Brandi, and it absolutely makes me know why so many people want to be a part of the UniTrust Agency with that attitude. Do you mind, and I won't make you do it next week, but I can go ahead and tell you we need a cameo. We need another time frame, maybe the next 90 days, where you come back and join us, because I'm telling you, Brandi, we're making a big move in this organization. We've got 3 or 4 regional manager teams that'll be qualifying a regional manager here in the next. I think we've got a couple teams that are going to do it the next couple months. But in the next 90 days, I really do see 3 to 4 regional manager teams. Could you come back home maybe sometime beginning of summer in the next 90 days and do another teaching session with us?
Absolutely. I would love to. And thank you for having me on. But I know with your leadership and the Claudia Matthews and the Mike Halls and the Ollies and all the leaders that you guys have, I mean, y'all have some sharp people. And I don't know how often y'all do this, but one thing we do at the UniTrust Agency is we edify each other. Mm-hmm. Cross-line, depth, whatever, because you know what? That's what creates that strong culture, and then that's what attracts people. And hey, you'll never know when you might need somebody to help you out, and step in. But yeah, I'll be happy to come back, and thank y'all so much for having me on tonight. But hey, check out that video and this book right here. I don't know if y'all can see it. I'm not very good with this.
Yeah, I love that is one of my favorite John Maxwell reads. It's actually fantastic. And I will check out I Made My Mark by Eric Thomas. I wrote that down. I'm going to check it out because I've got about 45 minutes left on my drive, and I'm going to listen to it on the way home. Brandi Tipton, you have blessed us tonight. You are amazing. And I will tell you, I'm going to also send Pete and Brandon a text letting them know that the blessing that you were to us tonight, and anything that we can ever do for their organization, you let us know. Very, very proud of you and the success that you've had. I think right now with Equis Financial, I think it's just the beginning. I see you absolutely duplicating yourself and having a whole team of people, and I see the success that you have here at Equis being as big as the managers out there. So good job.
Thank you so much. Y'all have a good night.
Okay, see ya.
Bye-bye.